Hello and welcome to another optional extra video. I'm Mitch, your host as always. Joining me is Russell. Today we've done videos on Sony in 2019 and Xbox in 2019, so it only makes sense that we do Nintendo in 2019. Almost call it 2018. I know what year it is. So
We've gotten to the point now where it's always that risk factor. It's like, you gotta say 2018 or 2019.
Yeah, I know. It's like early in the year where it's just like, I gotta make sure I say it right. So we've already had a Nintendo game. New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. That's the name. I'm sorry, I've got that wrong.
They're not making it easy for it. It's basically like a Kingdom Hearts title. That's how ridiculous that one is.
It is. It's just like you have to say, and we have to say U, like, forget the Wii U. The Wii U's dead. Dead and buried. So, that's ready to come out. It's selling better than the Wii U version. Shock horror.
No surprise, yeah.
And yeah, so like, that's ready to come out. Played it. Did a stream of it, actually. And you could not tell a single thing has changed. Like, you got Peach Head. Peach Head is kind of cool. But, like, I was very confused by that because they bring up Peach and stuff. It's just like, so Peach is trapped, but we're Peach. But Peach-ette is not Peach.
That crayon aspect was a very confusing idea that's built up, I'm sure, many fan fictions online.
Yeah, I'm very confused by what that meant to me. But, so there's been some news recently that Smash Bros. Switch sold 5 million in a week. It's like, the Switch is going bonkers, and I'm loving that Smash is selling so good.
It has a really good install base, let's put it that way. Where it's
incredible install base.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo's always kind of been like that, where it's like, it has its super dedicated fans, and they will buy basically everything Nintendo makes. But the problem, it's always like getting beyond that, and like for the most part, the only one that really excelled was Wii, where it's like Wii just like broke way out of stream. I think Switch is more in between, where it's like it's better than like the GameCube and stuff, but it's
don't you talk bad about the GameCube on this show?
But it's not that Wii success where it's like every person needs this Switch, but great piece of hardware.
Yeah, the Switch is truly like capturing that market that Nintendo always held, and well as the console market they've always had a pretty strong foot in. So yeah, so we've also got Yoshi's Crafted World coming pretty soon because they've released that. It's got a release date. So are we excited for Yoshi's Crafted World, Russell? Didn't mean to laugh then. We're not laughing at it.
Yoshi has always been like that super simplistic, easy game that it visually has something going on. You know, it's like it's got a charm to it, but it's not a game I'm excited about or necessarily going to pick up. No. It's kind of like, oh, here's a Yoshi game. All right, fair enough. But yeah, not particularly on my list of anticipated Nintendo games.
You know, I can't say this for me. I played Woolly World, and I felt like it was too easy. I didn't enjoy the collectible aspect. If I'm playing a platform, I want to play it for like really cool levels. Like, there is a game that Nintendo have pretty much perfected their own platformers, which is Tropical Freeze, more than any others. And like Yoshi's Crafted World, it's more about that. It's the same kind of deal. I'm not digging the look, the whole cardboard and arts and crafts Labo look to it, really. But it comes out on the 29th of March. I'll look that up real quick because I could not remember for the life of me when it comes out. So that's pretty much the two that have release dates right now. We're expecting a Nintendo Direct that hopefully won't make this video redundant. But yeah, so what we do know, we know there is a game that's coming out called Fire Emblem Three Houses. Almost called it Two Houses, but there's three of them, which is Fire Emblem's first console outing since the Wii's Radiant of Dawn, I think.
A long time.
Yeah, so it's a long time. So it's the first time we've seen it using more, like, better hardware than the 3DS. And the 3DS managed some really cool cutscenes, but the game never looked as good. And now Three Houses has the cool cutscenes. The gameplay, like, looks as good as them a bit. And so finally, I think it's reaching its potential, I guess.
And it's got some cool new ideas, or I guess potential because of that hardware. It's like now when you go into battle, it's like a full-on army clash as opposed to like a one-on-one like character hit attack. Now it's like, it seems like when you enter combat in that grid-based Fire Emblem format, it goes into the 2D plane where it does that in the Awakening games and the 3DS ones and whatnot, but it's now has like a massive army forms behind each side as they kind of clash together, which is, it's something new they can do on top.
Yeah, it's visually impressive. Like, really adds the feeling that you're in a war, not Really, the other Fire Emblems where you're a bunch of soldiers, like a small, like elite force, taking on.
Yeah, and it looks like they have some kind of
scenarios.
hub structure too, where it looks like now you can explore perhaps like your forces and castle or whatever.
Walk around your base.
I mean, relationships has always been a big part of the Fire Emblem games, and I'm sure that's going to play a big part too, when you can explore the castle and get it on with different characters.
BioWare's favourite thing too.
Yeah, it is BioWare's favorite thing. But other than that, I don't. It's the problem I always have in terms. Like sometimes I feel like maybe it's not ambitious enough.
No.
It's like, I mean, there could be other things they're hiding, but it's like I almost wish there was something more to it, you know, than those things.
Because like as I explained, it's like Fire Emblem with better hardware. That is exactly what it is. Like there is nothing overwhelmingly new to it that like when you look at you go Fire Emblem.
Yeah, bird's eye view, grid based. You know, go around the map, build up your classes and stuff. Like it's still that game. But I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's like, well, what else can they do with Fire Emblem without taking it apart and not making it Fire Emblem? Like that's the problem.
Well, it's like the turn based is like the crux. Like you need that relationship aspect of like Fire Emblem, like you're upgrading your classes. But I don't know, maybe some more visual impact than just like here's a little grid. Like maybe there is more like drastically different terrains that have like I think of XCOM, like you can go up levels and all this kind of
like
stuff.
Different effects by how high. Like archers will do more if they're higher and stuff like that.
Yeah, all this kind of things. That I mean, maybe it's in there, but nothing to suggest it right now.
No.
Now this game is definitely coming out this year, right?
They've said it's 2019.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a specific release date, but Nintendo often doesn't give us a release date till like...
Definitely, if and when there is a start of the year Nintendo Direct to show us what's coming.
I guarantee.
This one's got to be in there to showcase exactly why you want to buy this game.
Yeah. Well, it's like Breath of the Wild. We didn't know Breath of the Wild was coming out that year. Like in January, we got a Direct which said like, okay, Breath of the Wild's coming out. It's like, oh, sweet. But yeah, there is... Like, Fire Emblem can only do so much, but there is another franchise that... Similar turn-based stuff. It's called Pokemon. I think you've heard of it. But like, we just had Let's Go, which, interesting enough, took the series back to what it used to be while adding in some Go mechanics. And it's just interesting to see what Game Freak, and I'm a big Pokemon fan, like always have been. I don't know if they're talented enough to make a huge change to Pokemon that I think it necessarily needs in a modern era to kind of redefine it a bit. Like, I'm not convinced Game Freak have the talent.
It's like when Let's Go came out, like they were very clear to say like, oh, this is not that game we promised, which could be setting stakes for like how ambitious this new game could be. Where it's like, because everyone's like, oh, this is just the same old shit you've always done, and it's like, no. This is something else. This is like connecting it. You know, this is the Pokemon Go connection-y game that honestly is probably still going to be connected to this other one in some way because that's just throwing money away if they don't.
I'll be connected. I think it'll go more like standard with everything, more like get away from the motion control catch and stuff. I think it'll be more traditional.
Yeah, but I do feel similar to you that it won't be something massive. Like it will be like, oh, okay, it's much more detailed Pokemon. Probably like they have the hardware to make it visually more impressive. But I just don't feel like they'll be ambitious enough to do something really different. Like what I imagine is like a straight up like open world Pokemon game where you are literally like think Breath of the Wild, but you're throwing Pokeballs to capture the creatures in the world and use them in fights. Like that's what I want. And other games have kind of done that. like World of Final Fantasy was copying the Pokemon format, but they did that aspect, and it's like something that I hope they do, but I feel like now they'll probably still have the bird's eye view camera angle that you'll go around and get the
Yeah, I think though, to Game Freak's credit, like they pushed the 3DS hardware as probably as far as they could push it with the Pokemon game, so they can. It's just they haven't necessarily done a big they haven't worked with a more powerful system in a very long time. They've always worked under limitations. So I'm curious, is that going to make them worse, or is that going to make them better at building something that's way more efficient and bigger than it otherwise people thought was possible because they've worked under such a limited scope for so long of okay, the hardware's pretty rubbish. What can we do with it? And now with the Switch, it's just we got heaps of room to make what we want. It's just curious.
I mean, they could go crazy big like Pokemon Ultimate. And it has
everyone's here.
Every Pokemon from every single game is in here. Every location from every Pokemon game's in here.
That is the absolute dream for most people.
And that's how they sell what they can do now is they can put them all in it and do it together. But yeah, for me, it'd be more than that. Like I think like that's the biggest they'll probably possibly go, and I don't think it'll be that big. I think it'll be like more detailed Pokemon. There'll be like the like the touch your Pokemon things where it's like interact and feed them and all that kind of shit. I bet
like
you all that
Fireball.
stuff. Yeah, I'm sure all that stuff will be in there. And there might be new gimmicks, new systems that they implement and how you catch them. Maybe new elements. I said the Pokemon franchise for me has been one where I haven't followed enough, I haven't played enough of them. But on face value, they always look very similar to me. So I couldn't tell you the ins and outs. What's already been new.
That's saying this is kind of why people really feel like this is like their safe space. Like it's like, okay, we go to Pokemon every year. It's going to be the way I remember it. I'm going to have a good time. So that's what it is with Pokemon. Like fans like that about Pokemon. I think Pokemon, as it stands, in a normal fashion, like if it was just a normal kind of game, I think it would sell really well and that. But I think everyone would love to see Pokemon push to the next level. Like, see what we can do now with Pokemon. That could change it forever. Like, they could definitely go a more open environment Pokemon game and really, like, sell that kind of feeling of being in the Pokemon world, which none of the games have really done so well.
Yeah, I'm edging Pokemon Snap to an extreme level where it's like before you were on a go-kart, system taking the Pokemon. Now in an open world, you can collect them and take snapshots of every Pokemon in the wild, in their natural habitat. If you go out in the ocean, you're going to see a Gyarados out in the ocean, That to me is like what I want to see to have me interested. If it's basically what I've seen before, I have no interest in this game. It doesn't appeal to me. But if I see that, then it'll be on my potential list. Like, I might get this game.
Yeah. For me, I'm buying Pokemon no matter what, which is kind of like that stupid fan base part of just like, yeah, you know what? I've been in it since the beginning. I might as well just keep going with it. And I always hope that the next one's better because they still haven't really outdone Gold and Silver. Well, they did remake that and they outdid that. So apart from that, they haven't outdone that. So, I'm always excited to see what Pokemon will do despite being kind of critical on Game Freak because I can't see it. If they prove me wrong, I'll love to be proven wrong. So prove me wrong, Game Freak. So moving on to a series that was very GameCube focused and now has come to the 3DS is Luigi's Mansion because they revealed the third one was coming to the Switch, which my GameCube's my favorite console of all time, like straight out. But I never played Luigi's Mansion. So I'm really curious to actually play this new installment and wonder, will we see the first two ported to Switch? Like that question's gonna come up a lot when we get to other series later on. Also from the same era. But yeah, like
it's definitely one that seems realistic for this year.
Definitely, I would believe so. Because it comes up saying 2019. And Nintendo mean it for the most part, unless it's Zelda.
Recently they've been pretty good at, like, if they say something's coming out, it comes out. But I mean, it's like set in kind of like a hotel, which could be kind of cool. Where it's like maybe you're traveling between multiple floors, and it's got some kind of like Metroidvania, like you get keys and you got to get out of the floors to get past it and things. Like there could be cool aspects to it. I don't think there's going to be anything truly like surprising about it. It's one of those like. It's not going to be their Smash of the Year or their Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey. Like it's one of those smaller, probably bigger than Yoshi, Woolly Crafted World, whatever it's called.
Yoshi is surprisingly popular.
But I don't think it's going to be one of those massive stakes where like Pokemon, even if it isn't that much different to what you've experienced before, will still have a baked-in audience that will make it sell really well.
That's what they're banking on.
Mansion will just like it will sell okay because we've got this like base level that always hits. But I don't know how much further it can go beyond that to like really hit like everyone has to own Luigi's Mansion. I doubt it, but
Nintendo as a company understands that like not everything is going to be for everyone. There are those games that they market to everyone, like Mario Kart and Smash Bros. They want everyone getting those, But Luigi's Mansion is definitely a more niche title, and I'm sure they understand that. Like, they usually come out with like one big seller of the year, then a couple other smaller titles that they're okay with how much they sell, which we've seen the case of like apart from the first year of the Switch's life, where you had Breath of the Wild and Odyssey and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Like that was like three high-selling games that one year. So I don't know. I think Luigi's Mansion, like, it's kind of the Ghostbusters game that doesn't exist. that Nintendo's filling in. I think, I don't know, it's good that Luigi's getting his own game, because often he's pretty overlooked. He's getting a lot of love now, like his little death stare in Mario Kart really pushed him forward, like that was a career-making move for him. So
the Luigi a couple of years ago, and he had the Mario New Deluxe Wii U.
Yeah, whatever that one's called, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. I nailed it.
Yeah.
So, is this a game you're excited for, or are you just gonna wait and see?
It could be. It depends on when it comes out. Like, if there's nothing else on the Switch, there's nothing else around, I might pick it up. But if it's in a period where there's a lot of other competition, like, I can easily see myself skipping this game, just like Yoshi.
Yeah. So, I now want to talk about the Switch as a whole. As a whole, I want to talk about every other console you've spoken about. We've been talking about the PS5, the Xbox 2, and stuff. And then it's just thinking the Switch is obviously not gonna take that jump with them, but I'm just thinking what kind of revisions do we expect for the Switch? And I'm thinking something very basic. I watched a video on Digital Foundry going through what they wanted to see, and that was kind of more like stuff that would actually help the hardware, I think. A bigger screen would be a plus. That black bezel around it is pretty hefty. A lot of screen space they could be getting, but I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see just a normal regular revision. I'm curious whether we'll get a console only version, a handheld only version. I wonder if Nintendo would do that.
That's the direction I'm going. I'm thinking it's much more likely that they'll release a handheld Switch only that will shorten the bezel and make an overall smaller console that you could realistically fit in your pocket, a normal pocket. And I could see that being very plausible, because I think there is a mix. I think there are some people who maybe only play Switch Portable and some people who only play it console. I'd say the portable aspect's probably a bigger install base.
Yeah.
And then there's the mix who'll do either or, which they'll always keep that mix one. But I have a feeling that to literally entirely get rid of that 3DS, they will create a portable only version. Cheaper, smaller, easier to fit in your pocket. And because the technology's gotten better, it'll be easier to make it in a more form factor type aspect. That's how I think it's most likely. And it won't have this stupid switch out Joy-Cons. It'll just be straight up, just this is what it is, but it takes the same exact game, so you can play it on this, or you can play it on
of course cheaper. It'll be a bit cheaper than the full system.
For me, that's the only thing I see. Maybe they'll do what normally happens, even sometimes quietly, and the Switch will get a new model, but it won't really be advertised. It'll just be now it's got this in it that's slightly better or something.
But yeah, it's I don't see the Switch following the 3DS XL. I don't think you want a bigger Switch, to take around everywhere. I think the Switch is as big as you'd want it for that.
I think the best
system.
thing, as you said, is increase the screen size. Just make more use of the excessive bezel size
Yeah,
they've got around it.
Maybe add more storage or something, and
that as well. Yeah,
really, the Switch is really well designed. There's just I don't think they'll upgrade the screen. I think the screen is staying as what we got. So I think for the most part, I would love to see what the smaller versions look like. It was just how they go about it, and because it makes sense. They're a handheld company. That's where all their biggest consoles were. Game Boy, DS, even 3DS has sold a lot.
And I can imagine knocking off 100, 150 or something like that. Smaller form factor, admittedly, will entice some people who maybe have avoided it, especially if they're only interested in the portable.
Yeah, parents with children and stuff.
Exactly.
So
I can definitely see that very likely avenue they're going to pursue, especially because it's been 2 years now, and we haven't really seen any modifications. And Nintendo likes making modifications, so I expect something of that nature this year.
Yeah, so do I. So, yeah, be cool to see what they do with the Switch. I just see it's 2 years into its lifespan, they would actually think about adding some upgrade to the hardware, try and increase those sales that they they're selling like mad, but if they added that little handheld, cheaper console, sales would go up again.
So people who already own the Switch will buy the other one as well. There's
I would
going to
actually
be quite a
consider
few
it
people. Yeah.
Because, my main Switch, I keep it on the console, so if I had a portable one I could take everywhere, I'd be I would actually prefer a second console for that. Which is where they're gonna make money from idiots like me falling for their for their money making schemes. So now move on to another franchise that we've only seen a logo for, and heaps of other games because it's Metroid. And so I'm unconvinced we'll see Metroid Prime 4. Yeah, it's 4 this year. I think we may get a Prime trilogy like they've released on the Wii. But the curious part of that is, what do they take away? Like, which one do they go for, rather? Because they got the Wii collection, which redid the whole, like, motion control thing. Then you got the GameCube Duo, so you can't actually do that. So it's curious how they would... That might actually be a bigger undertaking than I would think to make it actually work for the new Switch and the Pro Controller and stuff.
Yeah, I guess it's a modification to the controls and adaptation. Do I think it's something we'll do?
Up-res.
Yeah, it's probably a likelihood because the Metroid games, is popular as they are in like a critical sense, I don't think that sales numbers ever been strong enough to represent it.
No, I think that's correct.
Which it's why Nintendo takes so much time in between them, I feel like, is because they go, it's not Smash Brothers, you know, it's not a Mario mainline game where it's like they will sell big money. Zelda, you know, it's not as big as that, but it still has that critical reception to it. So I can see them definitely going, look, we've been re-releasing like everything else at the moment on the Switch. Yeah, let's try and do the Metroid Prime ones as well. Which could be in itself interesting, just a comparison to like where it came from or where it is now, because Metroid 4, it's going to be interesting, I think. Very interesting for them to tackle a first-person shooter again in today's cycle on a console that admittedly has had a couple of like big shooters on it, like Wolfenstein and Doom and stuff on it. That would have not been competition. Yeah, it's not really games that you would associate with Nintendo, and that they've been on it. And it's going to be interesting. Like, Nintendo will most likely go the creative angle. Like, that's kind of what Metroid Prime was, where it's like, where Halo and stuff was like becoming like the feeling and just like how solid it was, and like a cinematic Michael Bay type experience.
You know, like,
Metroid Prime was like
yeah,
it's like
they wanted the old versions done in a different way, because like for the most part it's still a Metroidvania. Like, you still have to find upgrades, still explore all the areas. Whereas
and I don't think
that.
they'll lose that, but I do wonder how much they can change from those original 3 Pro games. How much can they modify it and become something different? I don't know, but I'll leave that to Nintendo to work it out. I mean, not always their creativity works. Like Star Fox is a case in point, where it's like sometimes they can try something and it doesn't work out. And Prime could be a similar thing, where like it ultimately just feels like what it was before. But regardless, I'm eagerly anticipating this game and what it could be.
Yeah, what it could be. And it's just like, I think releasing a 4 game without like having the 3 others in the like space have been like, I mean, they've been on the Wii U, but they haven't been on a real like new system since the Wii, really. And that's a long time. So I think to get people up to speed, you would release a trilogy, or you would drop the 4 from Metroid Prime 4. You would just call it Metroid
I could see
Prime
them doing, because that was just like early days when they had that title card.
Yeah, and I think
we'll call it Metroid something else.
Well, like, you immediately get fans interested because it's like Metroid 4,
we know what it
the
is.
next one.
Yeah.
And then that builds hype. But for people who have never played them, they're like, yeah, but I don't want to start on the 4th game. Like, I don't know where they're at. So it's just, I see them making it either just doing the trilogy again, or just making it a way that people can just jump in, which might hurt what people want from Metroid Prime 4, whereas a continuation of the Prime series, which, you know, it's been a long time since a new Prime game. But yeah, so there's another game we've seen. Oh, actually, for Bayonetta 3, they released more than a logo. They actually gave you a little tease of it, which, like, I was surprised when this became a Nintendo franchise in the first place, and it still surprises me now a bit. But like, do we see that this year? Because I can't see it. Like, depends what Platinum's working on, really.
Yeah. It's like, well, what else has Platinum got going at the moment is the question. Like, I'm sure Nier Automata was greenlit big time, the sequel to that. But
yeah, there's that Babylon game they're working on.
Yeah, true as well. Like, Platinum's always been a studio there that has multiple projects on at the same time. So I'm sure Bayonetta 3 is certainly on the road, but I don't know if it's a this year game. It's probably not. I mean, I'm not sure if Metroid Prime even is a this year game. Probably not either. I don't believe it.
That's why I think if they're going to do something like a trilogy, might make sense, because really they need to meet that ratio of like, how many re-releases do we have this year? They've redone 1. I think I got 2 more, maybe.
but definitely Bayonetta. I'm super excited for it. Like, those games have both been extremely solid action adventure type
Platinum
games.
does best.
Hack and such. Like, they are really good. And they were essentially both, PS3, Xbox 360 type Prime period games that have just been re-released, and it would be good to see what is achievable now with that hardware of the Switch. I mean, it's a lock-in for an exclusive. Like, it's not going to come out on anyone else.
Definitely. Like, Bayonetta 2's not coming to anything else. And, like...
Yeah.
Going off what 2 showed off, I think, like, a new one could be, like, exceptional. Like, both visually and, like, in a bigger, like, scale. Because, like, the footage we've got up now is, like, her fighting on top of a fighter jet, flying through a city. It's just, like... It's bonkers. So I'm just... Like, they could just step that up so much more with, like... the hardware of the Switch, which is more powerful than the Wii U.
Well, like, Devil May Cry 5 is, like, shown, like... Admittedly, Switch, I don't think, is quite got the powerhouse to be capable of that. But it shows, like, that formula, what you can do with extra power. And the Switch at least has more power than what the Wii U and, like, the PS3 and stuff are capable of. So
definitely.
There's certainly a greater level of, like, destruction, plausible, and, like, ridiculously over-the-top creatures, which is Bayonetta's style. So definitely. It's definitely one on my radar of, like, interest, but I don't think it'll be this year. I think it's a next year.
I think it's, like, same year as Nier Automata 2. If that's the thing. Well, it's definitely been greenlit. So there's one studio that everyone's been asking, where's Retro at? Because they haven't really made anything since Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on the Wii U. And so everyone's been theorizing things from, like, Star Fox Racing, which was rumored, which I thought sounded weird, but, like, at the same time, I'm like, that could work, like a fighter jet racing thing. Like, well, to me, that sounds pretty neat.
If that would exist, I assume it would be some kind of F-Zero, like, side version where it's like, it's that type of game, but now they have all the Star Fox characters in it. Like, I think F-Zero already had some kind of Star Fox connection.
I think it's rumored. I don't think it's, like, confirmed that they're in the same universe.
But it's that aspect of, like, that's why I imagine it would go, like, it's a series that's, like, been dormant for so long, and it'd be like, all right, we do that, but now you've got all the Star Fox characters plus F-Zero's characters, Captain Falcon and whatnot.
Like a crossover.
If that is what they're working on, which, who knows?
Who actually knows what they're working on? I don't think it's another Donkey Kong game. They haven't been working this hard on, like, something, even though I think Tropical Freeze is probably the best platformer on the Wii U, and certainly one of the best on the Switch now, since it's moved over. So it's just like, whatever Retro are making, Nintendo clearly have faith in them to make something good. So it's just like, what do they give them? Do they give them a brand new IP, which would be curious, which would be something different for Nintendo, definitely, because they don't often do that.
But I think they've had some success with, like, Splatoon. ARMS, not so much, but certainly
ARMS
Splatoon.
Not as much, but Splatoon, yes.
Yeah, where it's like, I think they will at least are willing to give some of their key studios a new IP to develop and build for. And honestly, that is what I'd like to see. Like, Metroid 4 is like, is there any doubt that it's going to be Samus again? Like, it's a series, like, Nintendo has these franchises that...
And these characters.
Often it's the same character again, and you're not getting anything new from them or anything, like, really that branches out from what you expect from them. And at least if they create a new IP, it has that potential. And I think that Splatoon has been a massive hit because they were creative, inventive, interesting new characters that had, like, that third-person shooter with a really unique spin that felt uniquely Nintendo.
Really big appeal, too.
Yeah, and it would be cool to see Rare, well, I at least personally would prefer Rare to pick a new character, build something new. I mean, I expect something iconic.
Rare. We would like Rare to do some good things, too.
Oh, I'd love that, too, but unfortunately, it's not one that's associated with Nintendo.
Not anymore.
Oh, Banjo. Was Banjo going to be a third-party, like, title?
Let's do it. Let's bring Banjo back to where he came from. Maybe. But yeah, like, whatever Retro's working on, like, will we see it this year? Possibly, because what else are they going to show? Like, that's new. They probably have a lot in the pipeline, like F-Zero. Well, like, I know we brought up Star Fox Racing, but...
It's interesting right now, having not seen, like, the Nintendo Direct of, like, what the promises are for this year. And out of all the ones we just discussed, it's like, what's the big one there? Like, what's the one, like, you go, oh, that's their Smash of this year, that's their Breath of the Wild of this year? Like, I don't feel like any of those would hit it. Metroid Prime could be, but I don't think it's this year.
Pokemon sales-wise will?
Yeah, probably, yeah, true. Sales-wise, but will it be that critical darling that, Game of the Year comes and everyone wants to nominate it for, best of?
Nintendo have that much faith in Pokemon this year, like, maybe it is that incredible thing. But, like, as you, like, Fire Emblem, like, Yoshi's... Whatever, like, Fire Emblem's pretty niche. Yoshi's never been, like, a critical hit. And, like, Luigi's Mansion's niche. Pokemon's their big one. but I feel like there's something else there that they may
Well, I mean,
have.
there are things like you will get Smash all year.
Yeah.
Like, Smash is going to have DLC characters.
some with Joker.
With Joker being, like, already the start, like, what surprises we got to come? Like, the Joker one makes more sense now, especially with, like, the Persona 5R stuff being heavily rumored and
Whatever
suggested
that is.
Yeah, well, I assume it'll be, like, the Golden for the Vita. That is, like, it's a re-release that has new content, new links and that kind of thing, which is cool in itself. Like, Persona coming to Switch I played the game, I love that game. I'd probably pick it up for Switch again, because I think it's that good.
Right, anyway. Good for a long game like Persona 5.
It is very good for that. And it's that kind of interesting aspect of, like, there could be other surprises in the year that we do not know of right now.
That's true. But, yeah, for the most part, Nintendo's got a pretty good future, especially with the Switch. Selling as well as it is. And there's so many IPs and stuff they're not using, and there's so much more they could make. So, curious what this Nintendo Direct first one brings, and then curious what they show off at E3 with their E3 Direct. So...
especially with Sony pulling out, and it's just Microsoft and Nintendo, the big first parties being there.
Yeah, so they're going to take full advantage of that lack of their... like, the one who's leading the pack right now. They're going to go, okay, like, the alpha's away, let's...
It's funny, because I guarantee Microsoft's like, oh, this has to be a big blowout, it has to be the best ever.
Yeah, you're right.
Nintendo's probably like, eh. Nintendo's like, we'll just do what we normally do, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, and Xbox, Phil Spencer's like, we have to make this the biggest E3 ever, because they're not there, we can actually do something huge. And Nintendo, you're probably right about Nintendo. Like, yeah, but we're Nintendo. We do what we do.
Nintendo do what Sega do.
Sega don't do a lot of things anymore. Anyway, so thanks for joining me, Russell, on this Nintendo expectation video.
We've locked in our discussions for all three now.
Yep, all three are done. No one can complain. We're all good. So, yeah, what are you most looking forward to for the Nintendo Switch? Let us know in the comments below, because they're always below us. And if you'd like this conversation, discussion, or whatever, you can like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you again. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.